Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a torta with some snack habits. Bye up, bye up. I'm feeling a little bit better. Let's hit that intro. Welcome back to the channel, and if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And I appreciate the support, man. I'm very, very, very humbled, man. Today, it's been a humbling experience, right? But I'll say this, right? I've seen a video, several videos that have been posted about a certain individual who I did videos on just a few weeks ago. Because he went to Los Angeles and because he's a Norteno that pulled up to Los Angeles and, you know, just did his business, did what he accomplished, what he wanted to accomplish. He took care of that, did his thing, and then pulled up out of there, right? But it was kind of going viral to the point and the fact that he went to Los Angeles and he was being, I guess, a little confrontational and disrespectful to Southsiders and was basically letting his whereabouts be known. Going on a live in downtown LA from a hotel, showing everyone his whereabouts and basically throwing his addy out there. And so people were tripping. Thank God nothing happened to him. Everything was good, but that was kind of reckless on his part. But hey, man, when you are a striving Norteno or Southsider and you feel the need to gangbang, so be it. Do what you have to do, right? That's your program and that's how you run it. This guy Thumpz from Sacramento, right? There's several videos being made on him right now because he's always pulls up to a podcast called the No Paperwork Podcast. And it's a podcast comprised of allegedly active Norteños who sit down and they talk about current events, things in the music industry, and whatever the case may be. You know, they tell their old war stories or whatever. I tap in from time to time just to see what they got going on, what guests they got. But at the end of the day, man, it's not my cup of tea. But more power to him, man. If you don't know the No Paperwork Podcast, go pull up and show support. Thumpz was on there. And this continual conversation about his time in LA, doing, you know, pulling up to Los Angeles, going to work out, playing handball with the Southsider, and doing whatever it is that he done continues, right? These questions keep continuing because people keep putting out videos talking about it. Now, there was a guy who in the past I made videos on. He made videos on me or disrespected me. And that was a guy named Neil Tazad. He is a black Southerner, a black Southsider from, I believe, Sun Valley. And me and him definitely did not see eye to eye in the past. He felt because I was an ex-Norteno that he was going to disrespect me or that it was, you know, he was in position of doing that. To each their own. If you have something bad to say, say it. It's better than saying nothing at all, you know? I used to hear that old saying, man, if you ain't got nothing good, don't say nothing at all. Well, nowadays, man, it's different. Nowadays, say something. Because, hey, Dre Day only makes Gunners payday, right? So it all helps. But anyways, me and him made videos back and forth. This is back in the days when I used to, you know what I mean, demand my respect. And I was confrontational online. And I was, you know, biting into that feedback of going back and forth with individuals that had a lot to say about me. Nowadays, I'm too old. I didn't grew up out of that, man. I don't care about the clout or the money as much as other people think I do, right? And I just am doing me, you know, and I'm going to speak on what I speak on. But Neil Tazad, he did make a video. And in that video, it was about Thumpz, excuse me, pulling up to LA and how he felt about it. He put in his perspective, his 2 cents, which means whatever it means to whoever watches him. And he was a little disrespectful and kind of put it out there, you know. And lately I've been watching Neil Tazad videos. I do tap into his videos. The Vato's got an intellect. He's very intelligent, right? Some of the things he says, I take into account and they're real. They're just facts and they're real. You know, I got to give him his respect. No disrespect to either one of these guys, but he felt the need to address Thumpz going to LA. And I guess he did it in a little bit of a disrespectful manner. You know, I don't know why guys get so butthurt with people pulling up to their city. I remember when Lucky from Hoodstocks pulled up to Merced And I was like, cool, it is what it is, man. You know, the dude passed through and he pulled up and he did a few burpees in a parking lot. I knew exactly where the parking lot he was in. It was right across from East Campus School. It used to be East Campus. It's Yosemite High. I just knew. I knew the area he was in was a safe area. And immediately some Northerners tapped in with me and they were like, hey, bro, we ain't feeling that. Vato pulling up. And I said, well, do something about it. Homie, what do you expect me to do? You want me to make a video on your side about how you feel? I'm going to do my video on how I feel about it. And it was a very respectful video. And I shout out Lucky from Hoodstocks. I like him, right? So anyways, a lot of people feel some type of way when the enemigo pulls up to your city. You always want to be in the belief or the understanding that you're holding it down for your city. Ain't no one else going to fuck with you. They can't come in. They can't program. They can't post up. But that's a lie. There's going to be a lot of Norteños that have went to LA. I have myself when I was active. And there's going to be a lot that continue to go. Just like there's a lot of Southsiders in Northern California. Deal with it. That just is what it is. If you don't like it, bro, then do what P-Face Baby did. Don't run, or did he? One never knows, does one. But handle your business. You know, if that's how you feel, if it's that serious, do your fucking thing. So anyways, Neil Dezad does his video a little bit disrespectful, and I understand why. See, it wasn't the fact that Thumpz pulled up to LA, because like I said, several Northerners have done that. It was the fact that after he left Los Angeles, he went back to the No Paperwork podcast and he started calling them all kinds of derogatory terms and disrespectful terms. Like, how are you going to do that right after you were playing handball with the Southsider? Like, if you felt that way, there is no end of hostilities on the streets. If you feel that way, then why are you even interacting with the Southerner if you feel that he's that derogatory term, right? And a lot of people ask me, why don't you say the word scrap? I said it, right? I don't like to say it. And I don't like to say it because I'm non-active or because it's disrespectful. I just haven't said it since 1993, man, 92, 93, when the Norteños had a junta when I was in YA, and we decided we were going to stop disrespecting vatos unless we were going to put hands on them to their face. That's just truth, right? So don't no one from Southern California take it as a disrespectful thing. It just is what it is, right? But that's why I don't use that word. And people are like, why do you say buster? But you don't say, because I was one. That's why. And it was never a disrespectful term in the first place. Anyways. And believe it or not, that S word that I just said, that's what Southerners used to call Norteños back in the days. And somehow it switched up. If you know the history, then you know I know it. And that's just the truth. Anyways, Thumpz went back to that No Paperwork podcast and started calling them all kinds of this and all kinds of that and being very disrespectful. And so I know immediately Neil Dezad seen that once it was brought to him, and he felt that he had to address that and address that dude Thumpz. So now in the midst of this, fast forward to just the other day, Thumpz is back on the No Paperwork podcast, and the conversation keeps on continuing. And it comes up. And it comes up about a fades. And he basically issues a fade to Neil Dezad, saying that he'll fuck Neil Dezad up. And he'll do more than just that. He'll beat up Neil Dezad from the toes to the elbows, right? And he'll still beat up another dude, too. He said, bring two. One ain't enough. Look, Superman, I know Thumpz is in good health, good condition. Maybe his fighting skills are way up to par. I met a lot of dudes from Sakura. They could throw them. They could throw them things. Dudes from Fresno can throw them things. Dudes from LA can throw them things. We have never seen either one of these guys fight. At least I haven't, so I don't know what they're capable of, nor do I care. But when you start to call people out for fades and say, hey, I'll fuck you up and you can bring a homeboy with you. Come on, man. Come on, man. That's just talk. And I'll explain to you why it's just talk. It's frivolous talk at that. Because first and foremost, you can't even be in the same room with the Southsider sanction or even make a fucking music video or make a rap song with the Southsider, but you could set up a fade with one. That's not going to happen. That would never get blessed. Because let me explain to you what would happen. It's more of a catch you on sight on the streets type shit. If they were to have a conversation behind the scenes, which if you're calling him all kinds of S words and he's calling you all kinds of busters and this and that, I don't see how that conversation could be had, right? But if it is, and they were to set something up, what do you think is going to happen? I'm sure Thumpz is not going to pull up Bolo. He's going to pull up with a gang of homies, and I'm sure Neil Dezad is going to pull up with a gang of homeboys. And when one guy loses, how's the other team going to feel? How's the blue team or the red team going to feel? Well, I'm explaining to you exactly how they're going to feel. They're going to feel disgruntled, hurt, embarrassed, ashamed, and mad. And all those fucking different types of emotions are gonna go through them, and then it's gonna turn into something worse and bad. So to sit there and say, hey man, I call him out and he could bring a homeboy, I'll fuck both of them up. Like, bro, I know you got pride in what you do. I know you're representing something that I once represented, man, and I know what it is, but you look foolish and incompetent of a good conversation when you say things like that. It's just the truth and the facts, right? Look, I'm not in a position to judge that man's character and say he's a bad person. I respect what Thumpz does, man, his whole health journey and trying to help people switch up and change when they get out of prison, because he has done prison time just like Neil Dezad has done prison time. You know, you're always supposed to be the man in the situation and say, yeah, man, I'll fuck everyone up. But come on, bro. You know what I mean? People take L's too. Now, as far as Neil Dezad goes, like I said, even though I don't really care for the individual, and sometimes he puts out shit that is disrespectful to the North, at least he's consistent, right? He's always been one of the Southerners from Southern California that dislikes the North because he's engaged in combat and he's engaged in guerra with Northerners. You know, not like Bozo, who never fought a Northerner, but disrespects every day, right? You know, you got to give Neil Dezad that. He has a reasoning to be upset, to be disgruntled, to be mad with Nortenos. And so him being from Southern California and a Southerner and having done legitimate prison time around real ones, that's just how he feels. You got to respect it. I could respect Thumph's way of thinking, engaging in guerra with upstaters in Sacramento or the Northern California area. He feels some type of way too. The way he was indoctrinated, he understands, man, you cannot allow this other group to invade the homeland, right? So I feel that. But to call a dude that's all the way in Southern California out because he disrespected you, let's set that up. Bro, like I said, you can't even set up a motherfucking music video together. You can't go see Norteños and Southerners doing rap songs together. Every time the question's asked, they always say, no, I won't do that. I can't. It's not because they won't do that. They want to do that and get the bag. They can't do that. That Wheeler hasn't went out yet to say you can. Okay? And that's just the facts. So Thumpz saying, I'll beat you and a homie up. Right? I mean, he might be able to. You know what I'm saying? I'm never going to downplay a motherfucker's strive, right? But at the same time, bro, like I said, that ain't going to happen. And let me explain to you about Neil Dezad. Neil Dezad ain't no sucker, man. You know, Neil Dezad, man, has been holding it down, and he's a big boy, man, and he's willing to fucking throw them things when he has to, I'm sure, right? I'm not picking and choosing sides here, man. Shout out to both of them, and I'm sure that would be a mean-ass fucking groove right there, a nice fight. But it's something I don't think is going to happen, right? Ever. And especially when you say pull up and you're going to have to, I'm going to fight two of you guys at the same time. How about those fucking Godzilla? That's a Godzilla versus King Kong plus the fucking Cyclops, right? He about to wants to fight everybody. Look, this is how I know Neil Dezad is a real one. Got to give him his respect. He was doing a video a long time ago, right? And he mentioned a name. And up until that point, I thought this motherfucking dude's a sucker. Probably only been on 2 yards, 1 yard. Hey, he ain't a real one, man. And it was because I was mad at the disrespect, how he was disrespecting me. To keep it real. That's totally honest, right? I'm not going to bullshit you guys. And so he's saying what he's saying, but he mentions a name, of author named Loco from LA. He's from LA, but then he moved to Atwater, right? A-Town, which is right by my city. When he mentioned that name and gave him respect, it was at that moment. I knew 2 seconds later that he was a real one. To even be in association, affiliated, or been around that dude that he talked about, I know him personally. He's a family member, right? I knew that this motherfucker was around a sick ass psychotic motherfucker, right? Psychopathic motherfucker. That's how you say it. A psychopath, right? I was like, oh shit. Let me tell you, man, that dude Wicked. Shout out my boy Wicked, right? He was not really a primo, but a very, very close friend of the family. And he used to hang around my primo, who's from A-Town. They were camaradas. He used to stay at my grandma's house, spend the nights, like, you know what I'm saying? All blasted back. OG from East LA, man, came out there to A-Town, was putting it down for the Southsiders, whatever, right? I knew him. Be at my grandmother's house all the time. He's there. He was cool. He was family, right? And I remember being in the Merced County Jail, and they have all the Southerners are on one block, right? And they're behind glass, or they used to be behind glass. And you have to walk to go to court. You all line up and they take you through that block. And so Southerners be disrespecting. There's a lot of disrespect back and forth back in the days. Nowadays, everyone's on point. They're just me mugging, right? Used to be spitting going on. That's why they put on that glass. But I used to walk by, and he had the county jail for the Southerners at the time. Wicked did, right? And I remember him saying, he was like, hey, primo, what's up? What's up? And I couldn't converse with them because I had to look out for my own safety and security. If I'm conversating or having a conversation with Southsiders, man, Northerners were going to trip and probably whack me, right? So I just got to keep my face straight. So I'm walking, but I'm hearing him though. And he's like, "What's up, hey? Tell your primo." I said, "What's up? Tell Whoopty Whoop, man. It's good to see you, bro. Tell him I'm going to prison. I caught this much time." He's like telling me, and I could hear a Southsider say, "Hey, homie, that's a buster, eh?" Right? And he was like, "Give a fuck, homie. That's familia right there. I don't give a fuck." They were like, "Oh, okay, big homie." Right? They didn't want that smoke. When Neil Dazad said he was around him and knowing how that dude is, a real one, I said, okay, he's been in association. Doesn't mean he's automatically a real one. You don't get the ghetto pass for that. But just being around a dude like that and having done time, I know that he knows what time it is. So he ain't no sucker, Thumpz, right? And I know Thumpz is probably going to watch this video because it's going to be sent to him by a whole bunch of disgruntled people that hate me, right? Look, no disrespect, but come on, man. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to get Randy Mossed. You want to be able to continue to do what you're doing and not bite into the unpleasantries of someone that's disrespecting you or who's analyzing the situation you're in. And look, only Thumpz knows why he went to LA to conduct business. You know, if he chose to be disrespectful and everything, that was a cowardly move. When the Southerners are right there, you can handle your business. If it wasn't that, then let it not be that. But to go back later on and disrespect them, you know, you're going to have dudes mad. Unfortunately, that's what you got coming, right? So all this calling out Neil Dazad and one of his homeboys, that's never going to happen, bro. There's no need to do that. You could say, hey, you know what I'm saying? Hey, if Davalta feels some type of way, if we ever see each other one of these days, if that's possible, then we could do what we need to do. But all that, hey, let's set it up. Let's set it up. Bro, who you think you are? Adam 22 setting up a fight with a porn star? Like, it's not going to happen. And then not swinging because that dude's shit is swinging. Like, I don't know. Anyways, I just wanted to address that, man. I don't think it was a good look for Thumpz to do that. I support Thumpz in his health journey and what he's doing. And as a righteous, active Norteno, get yours, homie. But that North and South shit's played out, bro. It's getting old now. Valto's bumping baking soda breath on the fucking internet and talking shit. Like, that's cell soldiering. That's what it is. It's woofing and cell soldiering. And Norteños don't conduct themselves like that. Who am I to tell you? Someone who lived that, bro. Never have I been around Norteños that conduct themselves in a woofing fashion. You know what I'm saying? Never argumentative amongst each other. Never red on camera or, you know, where the public could see. Never any of that. If a Southerner feels some type of way and disrespects, a Norteño was always supposed to stand his ground, keep his teeth on lock till it's time to throw them things or pull out that pedazo and handle your business. That's just how I was bred. That's just how I was laced up. Anyways, and as far as Neil Dazad being disrespectful, he is sometimes. That's the way he talks, you know. But he felt disrespected. You got to remember, it all stems from what happened. I don't think he was disrespected because Thumpz went to LA. I think he was disrespected after the fact on how he talked about the Southerners after when he was in LA. You know, you got to remember, rest in peace, Little Toro. Prior to Little Toro passing, he was walking around LA being highly disrespectful. But Davalta was doing it while he was there. Of course, he was just J-catting out or doing what he was doing. So it was what it was. But it's kind of like, at least he was doing it while he was there. No one could take that from him, right? Then he was hugging people. Then he was crying. Like, he went through a lot of his emotions, you know, and hopefully he's in a better place now. But Thumpz is above that. Very well respected in Sacramento, man. There's no need to go on the internet and call Southerners out for fades because that's not going to happen. How do I know it's not going to happen? I'll tell you guys right now. Facts. No one could deny this. There's a rapper. I haven't seen him in a long time, but he was popping for a minute. His name was Compton Tres. You guys remember Compton Tres? He felt disrespected by Young Iggs from Modesto because Young Iggs did a video in front of Staples Center in LA. And he was able to facilitate a phone call with me. Tres was, right? Even though I'm non-active, he's active, whatever. He was able to get me on the phone. And I was like, what's happening? And the reason he was is because his father supports my channel, or did. You know what I'm saying? Shout out Big Frank, right? And he was able to get my number. We chopped it up, and he was like, hey, do me a bottle. He said, are you tapped in with any active Northern? I said, when the wind's blowing, why, what's up, bro? He was like, hey, I want to set up a fucking a fight with that cat Young Iggs, bro. He goes, look, no disrespect to him. I don't hate him, but I feel disrespected. He came to LA in front of Staples Center without, you know what I'm saying, getting a pass on that. And I want to catch that fade. I want to catch that one-on-one. I said, well, let me see what I could do. And I was able to get a hold of somebody from Modesto who's pretty known in the game, right? And I told him that. He said, well, I'm friends with Young Iggs' father. Let me tap in, right? So he did whatever he did. He got me back on the phone. He's like, you got to tell that Vato. Nah, that ain't going to happen, bro. He ain't gonna give that Vato a fade. Northerners, it's not gonna happen. North and South ain't gonna give each other fades like that. So I was like, what it is? I told Chris, hey, I tried, bro. He said no. He said, all right. He said, did he bow down? I said, no, he didn't bow down. He just can't get it sanctioned. It's just the way it is. So, and then that was a dead issue. It was what it was. So let me tell you, man, you can call whoever you want out for a fade, say I'll beat 2 of you, 3 of you up or whatever, but ain't nothing ever going to happen. That's just the truth. With that being said, let me know what you guys think. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. See, I'm going to continue to strive, struggle for what I truly believe in. That's the betterment of all people. Respects to that Vato Thumpz because I've never disrespected him, I don't think. And respects to that Vato Neil Dezad because I have disrespected him. But that was the past, homie. That was definitely the past. This video is sponsored by Vadio Liquors out there in Turlock, California. If you're in the area, pull up to the Vadio and go get you something cold to drink, as well as Sticks and Stones Yard Service out there in Arizona, man. Google that Vato. Look him up. If he's in your immediate area, he'll come take care of you. He got you. Support Raza.